What's up guys, Swaglord McGee here. These glasses broke and don't fit me anymore, because I'll show you in a minute. So I'm gonna have to introduce some changes here. Come on, it's better. Away you go. Filmmaking. I don't have a separate mic, so it's not necessary, but it is cool.
Roger, roger.
You all know Star Wars. I know Star Wars. You can see I know Star Wars. I love Star Wars, as most people should. There are quite a few Star Wars films, you know. Some good, some also good, some not good. And I mean, I have it's up to your interpretation what films you envision seeing in my hands here. But we all know Episode 6, that was a film that Star Wars made. And in it, there's a lot of iconic characters, you know, they brought back Luke, Leia, Han Solo, Boba Fett returns, although I would say this film is one of his more, like, he's equally prominent in Episode 5 and 6. It's not like they brought him back and so they brought Luke back, because of course you need Luke. It's like, oh, Boba Fett, he was in Episode 5 and now he's in Episode 6 as well. It's an iconic part of his story. But it also introduces new characters. So while Jabba was seen before, obviously, Episode 6 is his main film. Like, you think of Episode 6, you think of Jabba, you think of Jabba's palace. And as well as properly introducing Jabba, you introduce with a lot of characters at Jabba's palace. For example, Max Rebo. If you don't love Max Rebo, you're not a true fan of Star Wars. I'm just saying. We've got Ula, the Twi'lek dancer. If I could wolf whistle, you know I would be doing it right now. But you know who else was at Jabba's palace? Well, remember the Rancor? Yeah, I love the Rancor. Tried to kill Luke. We all make mistakes. Come on, I was just hungry. And as George Lucas said, everyone has someone that loves them. I think even the Rancor, this disgusting, horrible creature, someone's got to care for it, and someone would be sad when it died. Remember this guy? That's Malakili. He was the Rancor's handler. Now, in this scene, he may have been played off for laughs and kind of like, haha, look at this guy, he's emotional over the Rancor dying, lol. But, you know, he had a pretty tragic life actually. So, he was born on Corellia, same as Han Solo, he's a Corellian. He was fascinated by wild animals as a child, you know. He always wished he could dedicate his life to be taking care of, you know, creatures and animals. What else would you call them? Creatures? Animals? Critters, perhaps? And so, you know, that's what he did. He dedicated his life to taking care of creatures, and by 32 BBY, he was part of the Gargon Hut's Circus Terrificus. They're a travelling menagerie with monstrous creatures. And he became a professional beast trainer and handler. And, you know, very quickly it became obvious that he had a very unique skill, and was the true star of the show rather than just the creatures. You know, he was the handler, he was like taking care of them, and making them do the tricks and all that stuff. You know, it's all down to him. Same way as, like, you know, with dressage on a horse, there's the show, like, yeah, sure, the horse is pretty cool. Handler as well is an equally important, if not more important, part. You know, he had this he had this life of at the Circus Terrificus taking care of these creatures, you know, what he wanted to dedicate his life towards. Then there's the incident of Nar Shaddaa, This massive beast, the Arquette, shown on screen, it broke free of its restraint and attacked spectators, killing 12 in the process. There were attempts made to stun this Arquette, but sadly the efforts were fruitless as it crawled into the vent grid. Malakili and others evacuated the area. Then, because of this incident, he wasn't quite the same after. He lost this massive beast creature. Why? He clearly not as good as everyone thinks he is, and disrespected after, not appreciated as much. So that's when Circus, seeing him no longer as of any value to them, they sold him to Jabba. On record it was called transferred, but he knew he was a slave. He knew he was now a slave of Jabba the Hutt. Now, Malakili was lovely. Malakili was so lovely. He was mild-mannered, he was friendly, he would talk to people in this. He was Jabba's cook. He was great friends with Jabba's cook. A friendly person talking to people. He must have been friends with Max Rebo. It's my headcanon, anyway. So he was put in charge of looking after the Rancor that Bib Fortuna had gotten for Jabba's birthday. Yay! And Malakili, being the person he is, being the animal handler, the lovely person that he is, just wanting to dedicate his life to creatures, he loved the Rancor. He viewed it as kind-hearted and as a friend. Unfortunately, the bloodthirsty gamblers at the Hutt, residence, the Jabba's palace, wanted more violence. They demanded more violence because the bloodthirsty gamblers, this Circus Hutt gang life on Tatooine. What do you expect? So Jabba ordered Malakili to train the Rancor for battle with a weapons harness and the likes. And then they entered the demolition derby. Unfortunately, the Rancor was not victorious. This didn't work out well for Malakili, so he was punished for this. What do you call it? Failure? Yeah, failure, that is the word. He was punished for his failure, having to endure humiliation by Salacious B. Crumb. That little rat monkey bastard. Really cruel punishment for Malakili to endure humiliation. He's dancing on his shoulders in front of the whole court, just completely mocking him. I think he was crying. I'm not certain on that though. But still, Malakili maintained this close bond with the Rancor, to the point where the Rancor would even let him heal his wounds and tend to him, and also eat meals with him. Which, for being this Rancor creature, you can imagine he wasn't the most open to outsiders, especially the way that he'd been, severely mistreated by having to be kept as Jabba's pet and not roam free. So all of this happens. Malakili cares for the Rancor, lives his life. During the occasional punishment every now and then for not being good enough. I guess that's just how life is in Jabba's palace. Still being a lovely person, didn't become bad or didn't grow mean-spirited or anything. So in about a 1 ABY, Malakili recruited a spacer as an assistant to help him with tasks. That was super interesting stuff, collecting EOP liver samples to feed the Sarlacc, or sampling DNA of the West Indian Sea crate dragon skeleton, searching Ben Kenobi's hut, stuff like that, just general assistant stuff. In recognition for this work, Malakili accepted to give shock rods to EV-99, the droid that is the tortured. She's the torturer from episode 6, in that big little droid room. She needs to maintain discipline among her droids. Lovely of her. At some point in Malakili's life, he also killed a giant mutated romp rat. It had taken over a cane that was owned by Tusken Raiders, so as a gift he got a Gaddafi stick. Nice. As you can imagine, Malakili, being a slave, didn't like Jabba very much, as he was owned by Jabba. Same way, Lady Valerian, a rival gang leader, also didn't like Jabba very much. Malakili ultimately decided that he wanted to betray Jabba to Lady Valerian because Jabba wanted to pit the Rancor against the Krayt Dragon, or a Krayt Dragon, which would, kill the Rancor. It's a Krayt Dragon and a Rancor, It's certain doom. So Malakili hid a camera in Jabba's room, and then Gonar, someone else, in Jabba's palace, threatened to blackmail Malakili with the evidence of the planned betrayal, but Malakili murdered him and fed the body to the Rancor. Kinda smart if you ask me. So that was kind of like a background thing. Clearly it never came to fruition because, the whole involvement with Luke and Leia killed Jabba when she was kept as, briefly slave. But just before that happened, Luke, killed the Rancor. We all know Luke killed the Rancor. So Malakili lost his mind. As you saw, he cried, he wept, he sobbed, he was heartbroken. But after all of this, Jabba did die. So after Jabba's death, he freed himself. He was no longer a slave. He broke out the cook that I mentioned earlier that he was friends with. He broke him out of Jabba's dungeon, and they went on to found a restaurant in Mos Eisley called the Crystal Moon Restaurant, which I think is rather lovely. And considering the kind of life that Malakili's led, I'd say it's a good ending. I think it's in some comics. I think that's how most Legends stuff is, comic books. I would love to read a comic dedicated to Malakili. He's a very lovely person, and considering he's only shown for 3 seconds in the entire original trilogy in episode 6 when the Rancor dies, it's such minor background stuff, but it adds into what I love about Star Wars, which is the Star Wars Legends builds so much on just inconsequential moments or frames of the original trilogy, or even the prequel trilogy as well. Don't want to ignore that, but this prequel trilogy it had purpose to flesh people out. The original trilogy, they just made creature designs, shoved them in a film, and let it release. None of this was intended when episode 6 was made, but someone went out of their way to give this guy a backstory, and for that I commend them. I love Malakili. As I said, he's a lovely guy, just friendly. Yeah, he killed someone, but the guy Gonar, the guy that he killed, was trying to uphold the oppression of slaves, so maybe it was deserved just a little bit. And his best friend the Rancor died, and all of this stuff before as well, being like a circus animal handler before the incident of Nar Shaddaa. But after all of this tragedy he suffered, having that happen, sold into slavery, befriending the Rancor dying, and all the humiliation and everything that comes with being a slave, he became free. He broke out with his friend that he made, and they founded a restaurant. That's just lovely, if you ask me. So yeah, 10 out of 10, instant 5-star for Malakili. Love that guy. So, my fart family. It's been an episode of Swaglord McGee. I know it's not quite gaming, that there's something new here. I've not got a lot going on my channel, so I can't say I'm exactly having a theme going on. It's not really anything new when there's not anything previous to begin with, but I hope you enjoyed this video. What do YouTubers say? Give it a thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a Swaglord McGee video, because I upload so frequently. If you don't have notifications on, you'll miss it, because there's so much content. I forgot that this was a high chair. Stay swaggin'.